Those of you who don't know Trent's in Melbourne. He runs a youth training athlete facility and has been with us for some time now, doing incredible work down there. Had a great year. This is Trent. You can see at Inner Athlete his mom, Lorraine, who is a huge support for him in the business as well, supporting operations. And excited for Trent to share a story. So, Trent, take it away. And thanks for being here.
Cool. Thanks, Sean. Thanks for the intro. There we go. So to give you a bit of a background, Inner Athlete is kind of like the place I wish I had growing up. That's kind of the main premise behind it, and it continues to be the main philosophy as well. From my own sporting background, having a whole host of injuries every season, and then transitioning to enjoying the gym side, and now I guess giving back in that aspect and making sure that the kids these days are actually set up for long-term success, not just in sport, but for life as well. And I found that has been beneficial for me, and I want to continue on with that journey, and especially with the market really growing in the youth sports side. It kind of makes sense to kind of continue on with that trend. I did a presentation a couple of months ago. The youth sport market is currently worth about 64 billion, and set to gross 80 billion by the end of the decade. So I think we've got an early movers advantage in some regards, and we're going to continue on with that moving forward. So we initially founded Inner Athlete in 2017, and I was operating out of a commercial gym just myself, and I was doing semi-private before it was really a big thing during those days. I had a mate of mine and went to the US, and they actually did semi-private. That was their main business model. And I thought, oh, this could be a profitable way and have consistent hours and consistent pay, and without the stress of doing, PT sessions and people cancelling on you and relying on them to be there on time as well. So did that. It was quite successful, but as operating out of a commercial gym, it's very hard to kind of expand from there. So we initially had a small clientele, and then we ended up transitioning across to our current facility now in 2019. We're about 140 square meters, and we host about 8 people with 2 coaches on the floor at any one time. Now, ideal clientele are youth athletes and teens. Our youngest is actually 8 years old. So she's an absolute gun. But we do have older members as well. And the good thing about us is when the kids actually train, the parents sometimes will kind of just wait around, and inadvertently they end up being a client as well. So it becomes like a 2-for-1 from that side. So it's quite nice from that perspective. And then in terms of outside of the business, so we do strength and conditioning services for sporting clubs and organisations as well. So we're into our second year with a soccer club, which is a top state league in Victoria with Bentley Greens, with the women's and junior girls program. Last year we started a lacrosse academy in partnership with someone else, and then we do the strength and conditioning for Melbourne Swimming Club, which are the second biggest club in Victoria. As well, and I have a few coaches helping me out and assisting with that side. Currently at the facility itself, we have about 106 members that we coach and service here, but we have hundreds in regards to all the programs, if we were to count them up, that we actually look after as well. So the good thing about that is I have a small team that assists me with that side, with 5 coaches. One of them, actually 2 of them now, help me with the content and marketing side. And then I got my mum, Lorraine. She does a lot of the admin and the back end stuff as well. And then we also have our own podcast, which we've been running for the last 3.5, 4 years, which is all about youth athlete development and youth mentoring, which started off as a bit of a passion project. And then we're slowly going to start transitioning. It's been a resource for a lot of our sponsorships and partnerships as well, to help us keep at the forefront and educating parents of why they should do strength and conditioning for their children, and then inadvertently come to us as well. The pain. So with our market, it's a bit of a weird one because it's very seasonal, with consistent lead generation. So for us, we were struggling. Some months we would get only 2 leads a month. Sometimes we get 10 leads a month. For us, it was quite difficult on that side, in terms of getting a consistent flow, and especially when the seasons change and going from winter sports to summer sports and that weird transition, we see a boom and then a little bit of a downturn as well. Now, retention of members has been an interesting one because we have parents and teens that just want to come to us for a short period of time and think that's going to potentially solve their problems. So we've wanted to find a way that we could improve our retention of members, which we'll be able to demonstrate later in the presentation, and having, I think, consistent leads, coming this month, sorry, same thing twice, and then separating ourselves from a growing market. Now, like I said, youth athlete development is becoming a bigger thing. A lot of sporting clubs and schools are implementing this now. Because they are implementing it on a group side, we wanted to make sure that we continue down the semi-private side and making sure that's actually individualized to meet the needs, not just the kind of be the average for the group, where a lot of and school programs and then larger organizations will kind of have to cater to 15 to 20 athletes, whilst we have the skills and the resources available to actually be able to provide a bit more of an individualized service. And a lot of parents are really looking for that, as well, for the sons and daughters. In terms of the strategies that we actually implemented, so the first one was, I think it was a pretty obvious one, was raising the rates. We actually got pretty much no pushback from this. What we had to do is find ways to actually provide continual service or ways of improving the customer experience before we actually did that. So implementing the InBody scanner as part of that process kind of helps to offset that moving forward. And for us, the InBody scanner, it creates another way of having that continual, the ongoing in terms of the retention side moving forward. So obviously increasing our revenue, but increasing that retention side by providing more data and analytics for the members here, especially for parents that want to see their kids to gain size, or that may have some sort of asymmetries. Especially for sports like tennis or soccer, it's really good for the parents to understand if there are any potential issues from that perspective. The other part was the paid trial. Now, going from something where members or prospects will come in as a lead, the lead will come in for a consultation, and then we'll just sell them after the consultation. I think transitioning to the paid trial was the best thing that we ever did, because it gives us 3 opportunities to create further buy-in and better understanding of who we're working with, because we are a small facility. So our paid trial process is usually they'll have a screening call with Lorraine. From there, we book them in for 3 sessions. The first part is the assessment side. The second part is our training session. So we write up their program, the individualized program. And then the third session is the consultation, where we discuss all the information that we've gathered from the phone call to the assessment and even to the training session. And we discuss it during that 45-minute consultation side as well. Now, local search has been a big deal as well. We are getting a lot more leads through Google My Business and making sure we maintain being in that 3-pack on Google. So if they search youth athlete development or strength and conditioning for teens, then we always have those keywords there and paying for those keywords specifically. Another thing that's been really beneficial for us is the networking side. So for us, we also joined a BNI group that's been very successful in terms of who we've been able to connect with, and then also who they've been able to connect us with as well. And what we've been able to do this year specifically is starting doing some more sponsorships and partnerships from the relationships that we've built through networking as well over the last couple of years. So we now sponsor two sporting clubs, which we're able to advertise directly through. So that's with Bentley Greens and then Athletics Club. And then we're going to be expanding into a basketball training facility, which is local to the area for us, and continue to develop partnerships from that side as well. Yeah, so I spoke about raising the rates. We had really no pushback. One of the big things we actually did was we actually dropped a 3 month membership. So we now do 6, 12, and 18 months. Now, for us, this actually makes more sense for the target markets because we don't expect kids to become, athletic freaks in 3 months. We actually talk to the parents and educate them as to why 6 months is actually a better deal. And then more than likely, they're either choosing 6 or 12 months as well. So that's been quite good. Joined BNI. So we've been with BNI for just over 12 months now. For those who don't know, it's Business Networking International. They're an international organization over 70 countries, and they have plenty of chapters available, and they actually work as a marketing tool for your business as well. Now, for us, it made total sense to join them because a lot of the members as part of BNI are parents, and usually they have teenage kids that are in small business, so they may have more disposable resources available in order to help their kids become successful in their sport. And it becomes an easy gateway to have those conversations where we're not exactly trying to get business from the parent. It's more, can we help and assist the child moving forward if they're struggling with a lot of issues. So our demographic is everywhere with that side. And then the SEO, so search engine optimization. Lucia has been phenomenal help, making sure we have our keywords on the website and then on our socials, improve visibility, and then also building the testimonials on Google My Business. I think we're over 140 testimonials. So we do that on a regular basis. We do that about 4 times a year, requesting testimonials, like the 5 stars, and getting some written feedback and responding to that as well. To give you a bit of an idea of the results that we've had, so in terms of our metrics for revenue, so these are just the same months comparing year 24 to year 25. So in June, we had about 30K in 24, and then they jumped up to 47. So it's like over 50% right there. July, very similar in terms of the metrics. And even August as well, which tend to be, I don't know why it tends to be a quieter month for us, but we still did pretty well overall, netting revenue-wise another 15K. The second part was the leads, like I said earlier on, was the consistency. So now, where previously it was very sporadic, especially with the times of the year and school holidays for us in Australia. Now we've just got consistent leads coming in left, right, and center. So really, really happy with that we're getting the business coming in through the door. And then the last part was our session utilization. Usually we want to be sitting at about like a 60%. We've actually had to put on extra sessions because we started to see a lot of our popular times were filling up. So we had to expand our Saturday morning sessions and then even during the week as well. And then our capacity for the facility, we're actually hitting it on a regular basis during certain times. So we've seen a 20% increase just at least in terms of our utilization from June, July, and August to last year to June, July, August of this year as well. Biggest lessons: understand who you're trying to target or your target market, and then for us, this actually evolved over time as well. So it was not so much doing group or avoiding doing the group strength and conditioning for kids. Parents really do want to make sure that their kids are training safely. So we make sure that we advertise that specifically. They know the benefits of strength training or getting coached in this area, but they want to make sure that they know that they're doing it safely. So it's a real big important thing to convey those messages for to the parents. Paid trials create strong opportunities to create buy-in throughout the whole process. Now, because we got a multitude of a lot of coaches here, and they'll have may have a different coach throughout the process as well. They're creating more touch points, more touch points, more touch points. And we actually asked the child or the teenager, it's like who did you enjoy working with the most, and that creates a bit more buy-in from that perspective. And when the parents hear that, and it's like, okay, this, the child's actually a bit more serious. Joining networking groups for like-minded relationships. I think this is a real big one. This one's more of a longer term one as well. So it wasn't until about the 6 month mark you really build those relationships within BNI. But it's finding those businesses that do want to grow over time. We've had relationships with physios and osteos in the past that have been absolutely horrendous. It's been a one-way street. But it's the BNI is they force you to have that reciprocation or the reciprocity between the businesses. And for us, it was quite important to have that. The other part was offloading many tasks and responsibilities. So for me, I was pretty much doing everything, from the assessments to the sales consultation, and then a lot of communications with the parents. And then over time, I've actually given those responsibilities to the boys and just started with one thing, which I thought was the most critical that they could do with their current skill set, which was the assessments, making sure that our assessment process is formalized, it's consistent. And then now I've got one of my guys actually doing the sales side now as well. So technically, if I go away, I can still have the place run without me being here. And one of the other things is obviously the networking side, but pushing to develop relationships is what got me the foot in the door to clubs and organizations. So with a lot of the swimming clubs, with a lot of the sporting clubs, it was just the lacrosse academy will happen to be just through fortunate chance, right place, right time. But with the swimming clubs, took a long time to build that relationship with the head coach, developing that know, like, and trust in order to have the conversation to take over the program. And we've been looking after that program for over 2 years now, as well, with sustained success. So it takes time. Some things take time. Some things happen chance, but because of the people that you're around as well, they're very similar minded. Advice to others is, like I said, develop relationships and lead to future opportunities. I've had one opportunity where I was working with a footy coach, and then we now do off-season, pre-season programs together. Consistency in posting on social media that provides value. I find that's been the biggest thing, is that engagement of providing value on the front end, not asking anything in return. Personally, for me, that's how I like to operate. Having a clear USP and hammering that home is like, what do you do? Who do you service? And making that clear every single time. And always be on search for staff. So we have relationships with RTOs and universities in Melbourne. So we're always on the lookout for the next coach, and currently looking for the next coach as well. I think that's it.
Great work, Trent.
Amazing, Trent. And Trent, you've just been through a season where I think if you look at the last few years, you've had, growth is not consistent, right? You get growth and then you plateau for a bit and then you do more work and then you grow again, and it's coming through cycles, right? You hit 40K consistently. Now you're on the cusp of hitting 60 consistently. What's been helping you through this season, and what do you think are the biggest things through this phase of the growth journey for your business?
I think the biggest focus is probably just building the relationships outside. So we're getting a lot of leads from sporting clubs. So, like, for example, when we joined up with Bentley Green Soccer Club, I think we got like 7 girls from the senior program straight away, or within like 2 months. So that buying became in really quickly. And then once I told the senior girls, if they started to bring in some of the junior girls that they were coaching. So it became like this big domino effect as soon as you got into a bigger organization, and they were seeing results, and then everyone else was noticing their results on the field. And then it's like, how do I do this and like go speak to Trent. And that's how it's really started to evolve
Yeah.
from there. And that's now started into a formal partnership and sponsorship with their junior program. So now we're able to directly advertise through there and offer, specific deals, bring a friend during the school holidays, but also be able to get in front of them, of the parents more specifically, and to educate them
Yeah.
moving forward.
So you're really speaking to, the process of we start basic networking, right? And then we establish kind of the first partnership. And then that partnership really grows and evolves. And then that scales to another partnership. And that starts small and that grows and evolves. Before you know it, you've got multiple significant partnerships that are all scaling, right, simultaneously. And I think that's the one of the biggest pieces that you've developed in the past year, specifically that's really supported the next level of growth. And it's making growth easier as opposed to harder, right? Because you put in the time. And so again, similar, we teach the strategy, but a lot of people, they try it, they go to one networking meeting, oh, it didn't work, or they have one partnership conversation, but don't execute on it, right? And they don't stick in it long enough to get the traction, get the scale. What advice would you have to others that are, at the place where they don't have, multiple partnerships scaling right now, and they're at the beginning phase of building this channel and engine that you have the last, couple years. How would you advise people to, manage through the season to get that engine going?
Um, the way I don't know, I've always been a natural networker because of mum, but just having conversations and just being genuinely curious. If it was a formal way and if I was to start from scratch, I'd go straight to BNI. I think BNI is a formalized process. Yes, you got to pay X amount of dollars to join an ongoing cost. It is a weekly meeting. People get to know your business. People are going to be like-minded as well, and they want to grow their business at the same time. So it's a tit for tat. You give and you gain later on down the track. That's the whole philosophy of it. And then it becomes a natural networking um, journey or process because it is an ongoing. So most people that
Yeah.
actually do BNI are with the program for a couple of years to expand their business and networks over time. And then the other part is because there's always another network nearby which you can tap into as well. And the other part is you cancel out your competition as well. So
Yeah.
like for us, like there's another PT or he does small group training. He targets adults, 35 to 55. For us, we
Yeah.
target youth.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's great. I think you've been consistent in the process, right? And that's so, and anything you do, just being consistent in it for a year, it's amazing how well it starts to work, right, for you and for the business. So, great job. And we're excited for you to be hitting the next milestone on your growth and continued expansion of the facility here to come. Well done.
Thank you.